Welcome. It's Sue Glassey here from IFMA, Female Commission and Gender Equality. This is our podcast and our second one we've run. We are kicking glass, breaking that glass ceiling and talking to women Muaythai all around the world. So our next guest, she needs no introduction. She defended one of her world titles, only one of the world titles she has, 6 times. She's ranked number 1 in, I think, pretty much every single Muay Thai association with rankings up on any website. None other than Iman Barlow from the UK.
Hi.
Hi, Iman. Pretty killer.
Hi.
So you have had over 100 youth fights. You have had 127 professional fights with only 5 losses to your name in them. You fought in over 15, I think I counted them up, like over about 15 different countries around the world. You got your first world title at 14 years old. That's pretty amazing.
Probably younger.
Was what?
Probably, I think it was younger, but that was my first adult world title at 14 years old.
So you were an adult at 14. That's crazy, isn't it, to start with?
Yeah.
and known by the name Pretty Killer. That's going to be my quick first question. I'm always interested to know how people get their fight names. How did you get yours?
Yeah, so I went to Thailand for the first time when I was 7, and I was training out there because in England we have like the summer holidays, so I was out there for 6 weeks. And I was training just like a little 7-year-old, and then at the end of our holiday, Jitty, the main trainer, asked if I wanted to fight, and I was like, of course I do, like that'd be great, but I didn't understand at that age what the difference of fighting in England and fighting in Thailand was. And then he said, well, if you're fighting, you're gonna have a fight name. And then that's when he named me Soy Pacat, which translates as beautiful killer, but he said it was pretty killer as well. So literally from the age of 7, I was pretty killer when I had a little fringe and I was cute.
Man, what have you weighed at that? Like, was there a weight range or like?
No, like in Thailand at that age, you didn't really weigh in. You just like they looked at you and put you next to each other and felt your arms and thought, yeah, that'll be all right. But my first fight was actually against a boy, which for me in England, I used to fight boys all the time as a child, but I didn't realise how much of a difference that was in Thailand. I did fight with shin pads my first fight, but yeah, I gave them a good go. They gave us a draw, but you know, it was a long time ago. I'm not sure if I won. And they didn't want to say.
So I mean, I think, until you're a certain age, boy, girl, until things sort of start changing, there really isn't, like physiologically a lot of difference. But you said there's a difference between England and Thailand.
Yeah, well, in Thailand that didn't really happen at the time. Boys fought boys and girls fought girls, and also back then there wasn't many females fighting at all. So the fact that a female would fight a male, even as a child, was weird. Like this was like before the year 2000. This was in the 90s. So there wasn't actually many foreign people in Thailand, let alone children, let alone competing as well. So yeah, it's changed a lot since then, and the girls are killing it.
Nice. Yeah, they so are, aren't they? Maybe they gave him a draw so he didn't feel bad, like losing to a girl.
Yeah, exactly. He was the northern champion of Thailand as well, but obviously, at my age that meant nothing. I was the champion. So, and I remember as well, like everyone was kind of laughing and giggling at me, and I didn't really understand it as a young kid. And now I realise, like, it's because I was a girl, and it was just crazy. In England we had nothing like that, but they're almost laughing at me because I was a girl about to compete against a top ranked boy. But I just always took everything in my stride and did the best I could and smashed it.
Yeah, because it wasn't your first fight, was it? Like I read that you had your first one at 4 years old.
Yeah, like we have like what's called interclubs. So you go in with the protection, and I used to fight every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend. Like my mum and dad used to dedicate their weekends to me and travel up and down the country fighting all the time. For me, it's always been the more fights, the better. And still to this day, the more fights I have, the better it is. That's why, I compete is to fight regular. And yeah.
Yeah, you get in there, you learn something every single time, don't you?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so, but your mum and dad were champions as well, too, weren't they? So
Well, so my dad had one fight, and he set up Assassin's Muay where I train now, and then that's how my mum met my dad. My mum went on to she did a bit of karate, and then went on to be British champion in Muay Thai. And then yeah, my mum and myself fought on the same show once, so that was pretty cool. I was about six or seven, and we fought on the same show, and she won a British title.
oh wow, that is pretty awesome. So do you think you oh, hi Iman, from a big fan in New Zealand I've got coming across the screen. Oh,
Oh,
you're
that's
loved everywhere
wicked.
around the
Hi.
world. So um your mum, did you think it influenced you at all? Like, was it a thing you did together
100%.
or?
Yeah, 100%. I just thought that was normal because I was brought up in that environment. Instead of getting a babysitter, I'd kind of be stuck in the corner while my mum taught classes. So, and then I just see, everyone else training, and at the age of 2.5, I started joining in. I wouldn't say I was training, but I was copying what the adults were doing. And you know how like adults like to mess around with children, and I was the cute kid. So yeah, everyone used to play with me, but also teach me at the same time. And it just started off from there. And I used to do everything with my mum because, she didn't, not she couldn't get a babysitter, but I was a good kid. So it just sat me in the corner, and I was always in the gym basically.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn the way. Like a lot of the champions now, I think they've all sort of just grown up in gyms. It's
Yeah.
quite common, eh? Hey, but like from there to what you're doing now, and over the last, what is that, 2.5 decades of fighting, nearly,
Yeah, it's
maybe?
mad
Yeah.
really when I say
Um,
that.
it's a long time, right?
Yeah.
Don't put
I
any
think I'm
numbers to it.
joking.
But I'm thinking, like, you've fought some real powerhouses of Muay Thai. I like, and I was looking up all the different ones, and like every continent, you can go from Europe and you've got Anil Angerville, you can go from Sweden with Sophie Alfredsson, you can Yolanda Schmidt, from Australia, so coming right down under, and then, legends from Thailand, like sourcing as well. Erica from Ikarita. I've got to say the name properly. The Russian names, I never get them right. But she's from Belarus. So that's pretty much every continent, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I've
and
always
USA.
tried to fight the best and fight everyone. The amount of fights I've had, some people have had to fight more than once as well, just for a fight. And like I say, it's always been important to fight regular for myself. So that means regular opponents. So I've really tried to, fight everyone in the division. And also I've been so lucky to fight around the world as well. I know promoters, when I fought in Australia 3 times. Like for me, that's a million miles away. Like I'm so grateful to be flown to Australia, me and my dad, and stay there for a week or 10 days to do what I love. It's been amazing.
That's pretty brilliant, isn't it? Like back in my day, back last millennium, like we didn't. I had to beg promoters, just local promoters, to put me on, let
Yeah,
alone let you be able to fight all around the world. Like that's just such a
yeah.
dream.
And
Do you?
that's how much it's kind of come on along in the years. Like my mum was the same. I think she maybe fought in Holland once, but that was as far as it went. And the pool of women were, you didn't kind of have weight classes. You just took what you got, and someone might have been 5, 6 kilos heavier, and that's just the way it was. But we're so lucky the way it's kind of developed now, that there's so many women doing it, and all at different weights, and you don't need to give away 5 kilos and things like that. So yeah, it's come along such a
Yeah,
long
that's so
way.
true. That's so true. Because like I was looking, and your weight division hasn't, once you settled into your adult weight, I guess you call it, like you really haven't fought too much outside sort of around the 54, 52 sort of kilo, have you? Like
Yeah,
I think the
well,
lightest I fought was 60 and the heaviest I fought was 86 kilo. And I mean, I sat
yeah,
in the middle, but well, not in the middle, I was still in the 60s, but we had to give away all those kilos. That's pretty cool that you've been able to do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of a thing that me and my dad have. Like, if you're going to fight at a weight, then you will stay at that weight and you will be the best at that weight. One of Someone once told me that, if you're going to fight at 57, then be prepared to fight the best at 57. So we kind of always stuck to my weight class and never went up to fight someone just to get a fight who you probably knew you could beat, because then you've got to be prepared to beat the best at that weight. And if it's not your weight class, there's no excuses. So the way me and my dad kind of have gone along in my career is that I want to be the best. I want to have no excuses. So I'll do everything that I can in my power. So, for example, when we go to Australia, we know that it's such a long way and we're not going for a holiday, we're going for business.
Yeah.
I want to win, and I train hard, so I will get that win. So I'll have no excuses, but also we won't fly out a few days before. I'm going there for a week. I'm getting used to the time difference. I'm getting used to the heat. Like, we take it very seriously, and that's probably another reason for, kind of my success as well.
Yeah. But that's kind of brilliant, isn't it? Like a lot of people, like you say, you were laughed at when you first got in the ring as a girl, but you and your dad and your whole family have supported you, taking it really seriously. You've got to acclimatize, you've got to adjust to temperature, time differences. You're a top athlete and you've got to be taken seriously if you're going to keep winning, which you seem to keep doing. Like 5 losses?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I hate losing. Literally, like, I know it's all about competing, but I hate losing. I work so hard and train so hard. So then when I lose, it's like, it's heartbreaking. But, also from a loss, you come back so stronger. Like, I've always learned from my losses and come back so stronger, and, kind of had a new kind of lease in life, even though it's been difficult for a few weeks or whatever. But I've learned so much along the way through, every loss and even a win. If you're not learning after a win, that's kind of when you get complacent. So yeah, it's all a learning curve, and Muay Thai has shaped my whole life. It's crazy, really.
Oh, but it's just such a buzz though, isn't it? It's like just such a passion. I can
Yeah,
fully understand that.
and still now I'm kind of gaining new experiences, with the IFMAs and the World Games. Like, that was an amazing experience. I've done a lot, I've been doing a lot, I've seen a lot, but that was just like a new experience, and I embraced it all, and I absolutely loved it at the time. But then now looking back, like, it's just, yeah, I'm proud of myself and happy that I did it, and realized how much fun I was having at the time as well.
No, it's funny because that's what I was going to ask you about. Like, because you've done a lot of like your individual fights, like the single ones, the single titles, and it's in some way it's a lot easier to train for a single title than it is to train for a tournament, because you've got so many uncontrolled variables in a tournament.
Yeah,
Like the draw, like who you're going to get up first, and like actually if you don't win,
yeah,
you could be out in your first round, even though your fight should have been maybe the final.
yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing I love about it, is just being around that mass of women and girls that love Muay Thai. Like, it just feeds my soul when I'm around that. But how did you see the difference, like between the IFMAs and the single titles?
Yeah, it's a massive difference. Massive. Like, if you're training for, a single fight, then you're training for that one person. You have a game plan for that person, and you'll train that game plan over and over again. For the IFMAs, it's kind of like you've got to have a baseline fitness, which I always have anyway, but you've got to be mega fit to get through all the fights that you're possibly going to have. But also, it's scored different, I think, because of the pads and stuff. It's kind of bang, 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 bang. Whereas in professional, you've got no pads, so the more power as well, the more it affects them. But over 3-round fight, your power's not going to really affect them. I know you've got the pads, but it needs to be more on shots landing than kind of loading up. So yeah, it was very full on and intense training, but I'd be lying to say, it's always intense training. But the whole experience of everything as well, like, you don't know who is even in your category. You know who might compete, but you don't know if they're going. And for me, when I arrived at the IFMAs, some of these women I'd not never heard of, but had never competed professionally.
Yeah.
You know, some of them only do that, and that's their speciality. So I don't think people understand how much difference it is from fighting professionally then going to the amateurs with the pads. Like, it's not, oh, they're an amazing professional fighter, so they'll smash the IFMAs. Like, it's not like that at all. It's completely different. So the fact that I did smash it and win, is crazy. But don't think for 1 second that I thought I was going to go in there and win. We kind of just took it as a new opportunity and something a bit different. But yeah, I ended up doing really well.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did really well. I really enjoyed watching it, because that was something I was wondering too. Like, when you've been brought up in the professional, it is different. Even though a whole lot of the people like, everyone goes, "Oh, the IFMA's amateurs." It's like, no, it's not. It's filled with professional fighters, because they just want to get as much time in the ring as they can, and it is slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I did it. Is I wasn't getting any fights. This was after COVID, and I was getting no fights. So the fact that I could go to, a competition and have 3 fights in a row for me was really important after a year and a half not fighting at all. And then the same with the World Games. It's so important. I train so regular that if I'm not getting fights, to be honest, this is bad, but what's the point? What's the point in training? If I'm not getting fights, I don't see the end goal. So for me, over COVID times, I thought everyone struggled, but for me not to get fights was hard. And then obviously as things started opening up, it was different in every country. So it was hard to kind of compete internationally. And then even when you could, I still wasn't getting fights. So yeah, for me as a fighter, I think everyone knows I like to fight regular. And when I'm not doing that, it's just so hard. It's heartbreaking.
It's like making your dinner and not being allowed to eat it, eh?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
But because getting the gold at the World Champs then gave you that window through to the World Games, and the World Games is a multi-sport game, so it's on the Olympic level. It's got all the different sports going on there.
Yeah.
And then once again, some other people that didn't make it through finals would have been in your pool that maybe you hadn't fought before. Did it give you more opportunities to fight different people?
Yeah, I fought out of the 3 fights, I fought 2 different people. There's that one girl that just was always there. Patricia, I can't remember.
Excellent.
From Sweden. She was like my worst nightmare. She was always there, and she was so good. So yeah, I beat her in the IFMAs in the semi-final, and a lot of people said, "Wow, like that fight should have been the final." It was
I remember
a very tough fight, and it was very hard. And I remember coming out in the Bangkok midday heat. I was so hot. I just remember thinking, that's took everything out of me. How am I going to fight tomorrow? Like, this is crazy. But yeah, then the next day I just got on with it and smashed it. But yeah, again, Patricia came to haunt me again at the World Games. But sometimes when I fought someone once, the second time I've kind of worked them out a bit better. So I beat her and then proceeded to the final, to fight, obviously, as you know, Tiara, which, for her, she had the home crowd, and it was the final, and it was a kind of crazy atmosphere, and I lost the first round as well. So for me, I got a right telling off when I got back, and I just came back. Yeah, I had to come back stronger, otherwise I didn't dare go back in the corner. But I needed it.
Because it was so that made it even going into the last round. It was a round apiece. It would have been like 19 all or 18 all or whatever it would have been.
And for me, that just makes me step up my game even more. So Tiara kind of gave me that push to, even push myself further. So it was very competitive and good. And we talked after, and she's got a bright future. And I've seen, obviously recently she's come and done a few professional fights, because as far as I was aware, she was mainly in the IFMAs and the amateurs a lot. So I think it's good for her to, come into the professionals, but it's a different game.
Yeah, she's really because she was on last week, fortnight ago, and she was saying how that she really enjoyed fighting you and that it was pretty close, and she just remembers you when she was, because she started again too with her parents when she was 11,
Yeah.
and she remembered you were a name that she was quite keen to get in the ring with and to see how she measured up. So she was pretty proud of how she did.
Yeah,
So
and I did watch that, and I have to say she comes across very well and is very humbling, and it's great for someone, you know, that young, especially after a loss, to speak about myself like that. It was very nice to hear, and you know, she's going to go far in the sport.
yeah, I think she will too, eh? She's a pretty amazing young lady. Hey, speaking of people wanting to fight people, have you got anyone on your hit list that you want to jump over those ropes into? Fine.
Yeah, I always get asked this question, and it's difficult for me. You know, I don't really like to call anyone out, and I know sometimes you have beef or whatever, but I'm
Yeah.
not about that. But we
I
all
don't
know
think
that
Muay
I'd
Thai
like to.
is though, eh?
No,
Like,
no, but I don't like to mention names. Some people, sometimes I've fought everyone. I'm not saying I've fought everyone, but we all know that I deserve the one championship title. If it comes, it comes. There's been a
yeah.
lot of I've been let down a lot of times, so we will just see. That's all I have to say.
So sometimes they don't want the real good people in there to start with because it slows down the championship. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes out everybody. Like it becomes a political thing. Like I don't know whether it is or not because I don't. But from from my own experience, when I was doing really well, I would then not get any fights because they know that you're going to beat the person. So then you just ends up kind of sucking.
Yeah. I can't
Kind of
comment.
sucking.
There's a lot of politics
Yeah.
involved sometimes, and the date hasn't gone right, or but yeah, I'm finding it hard work. But we'll see. If it is meant to be, it will
It'll
be.
be.
So
But
just stay
have you
tuned.
played you've played in other disciplines as well? Because as you would have jumped sideways like I did, jump into boxing, jump into kickboxing, jump into MMA, I
Yeah,
don't know, like to get some fights. What else have you
definitely.
played in?
Yeah, so kickboxing, low kick, K1. I've done a few boxing as well, just to, you know, my opponent's pulled out and we've got someone local to come and box me. Whatever I kind of could to get fights. I'd go to a
Yeah.
lot of championships, especially when I was younger, and do like all three categories. I'll do the Thai boxing, the kickboxing, and the low kick, whatever I could. Especially because at these championships, sometimes it'd be a straight final, so it's like the more fights, the better.
Yeah.
But kind of a few years back, I was doing every discipline, like even infusion rules is between kickboxing and Thai boxing. It's different. Um, yeah, a few years ago, we decided just to kind of now stick with Muay Thai because there's more fights out there and more
Yeah.
opportunity. Because I was forgetting when I could elbow, when I could catch the kick, and
Yeah.
you know it's all right training for it, but it's difficult. And in that split second where you're kind of thinking, oh, what are the rules? Am I allowed to do that? Is taking things away. So yeah, we decided to kind of stick with Muay Thai, and then that's when I remembered I could throw elbows and cut a few people up.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all those things like you can't have your foot too far off the canvas in boxing. And yeah, it's quite lucky that you can do that now, that there is that pool of women to be able to be a purist in the sport that you love the most or that suits you the best.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
exactly.
Eh?
And that's what's important, isn't it? Definitely.
So I was going to ask you about who was your biggest supporters. So I know your family will be. So tell us, is there
Yeah.
anyone else and tell us about your family?
Yeah, so obviously I've got my mum Maxine. I used to train with her when I was younger. She still does bits now. She looks after me. I still live at home as well, but I have just recently bought a house with my boyfriend, so we'll be moving in soon, hopefully. My mum is an amazing cook, so she looks after me in that way. And then I've got my dad, Mark. He is my trainer. He is my father. He also looks after me and does a lot because I work full time as well. So with training full time and working full time, it's a lot. So, you know, I'll train in the morning, um, and then I'll go out to work, and then I'll come back from work and have maybe an hour. My dinner's already cooked when I'm home, so I'm quite lucky. And then I've got by the time you get changed, it's time to go training, and then I'm not getting in till 9 o'clock, so it's time for a shower, and then you go sleep and repeat the day. So in between that, yeah, I get a lot done for me. Like my dinner gets cooked, my washing gets done, and things like that. I'm very, very lucky to have that. But yeah, and then we have my brother, who is my younger brother. He's nearly 26 on Friday, and he used to always be tiny. He was so small, and now he fights at the same weight as me, and is massive. So
Serious.
yeah, it was really nice growing up with having a brother and him being into Thai boxing as well, because we used to train together, and we still do now. And he's a bit like my best friend. Like
I was going to say you're
we'll have a good,
close, aren't you? Yeah.
yeah, so close. We have a good natter and take our frustrations out on each other. Although we can't really do that now because he would beat me up. But the times have changed. Times have changed so much. Like he used to be really small and he used to try and beat me up, and it'd make me laugh because he was so small. And now it's like, yeah, he could do that easy. But yeah, there's still a bit of competitiveness there, but he's a lot better than me. But yeah, and it's so good to train alongside him, all the time. He's always there, so he's like my right hand man as well. And yeah, it's good.
It's brilliant, eh? It seems to be that the most successful athletes and fighters are ones that have family with them, like a really good support network. It seems to be like the difference, I think.
Yeah,
What
it definitely helps 100%. Like they know what you're kind of going through and what it entails as well. But also everyone in the gym, people come and go in the gym, but we've kind of had a group of people that have been there since they were young as well. So it's nice to have them around, and they also get it and work just as hard.
Yeah, the gym is like a family as well, isn't it? It
Yeah.
just becomes your family. Thinking
Yeah.
of like you've got to work full time and be an athlete full time. So, and I wonder if this is a disparity in a female male thing. Like, do males get to not work full time and just get to be an athlete full time? What's it like in England? Or what's your
Um,
thoughts?
I think it varies. It depends. Yeah, it depends. It depends because for me, I and my parents advised me that you've got to have a life outside of Thai boxing. Like, what happens when you retire and you've got nothing? So I kind of had my job as a backup, and over COVID, I would have had no money coming in. I know no one could have predicted that, but it kind of also gets me away from the gym, which is why I enjoy my job. Because I live in that environment as well. It's not my job kind of takes me out into the real
Right.
world, and I enjoy it. It's probably the best, not the best, because I'd like to have an afternoon nap, but it's one of the best things I've done. Is I've got something to fall back on as well, and it's great. But for me, it was really important to get out of the gym. So doing PTs for me is not something I wanted to do because I hold pads and training. I don't need to be doing it all day long. It's you kind of like need to separate your training with your PTs, and I would have found that hard. So yeah, having a job outside the gym, even though it involves a little bit of things I do, was important for me.
Yeah. Sounds like it gives you like a bit more balance too. And
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I wonder if you got to do it full time. Like I wonder if you get paid. I don't know because I obviously was never paid as a full time athlete, but I wonder whether that takes some of the drive out of it. Do you know, like when it's your choice, you do it in your spare time. Do you think maybe that gives you more of a determination? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's difficult because for a lot of things, like uh, I'm sure some IFMA athletes get paid because from their country, so they
Yeah.
do get paid to train and things like that. And I just think, oh, I'd just be doing what I'm doing now and getting paid for it, like a monthly wage. That'd be amazing. But yeah, obviously in this country and in some other countries, that's Thai boxing isn't recognised as such as other sports are. So it's a shame, but I'm not sure. Obviously, if you're just doing it full time and getting paid for it, that'd be amazing. But the reality is, if injury kicks in, or you never know what's around the corner. So yeah, it's difficult to comprehend.
Is your work quite supportive of you, like taking time off? And they must be pretty supportive of you, yeah?
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky, and kind of most of the jobs that I've had, and I've not had that many, they've always I've said like my fighting comes first, and they've been very supportive. So I work at a kind of, it's called like a learning hub. It's not a school, but it's like a learning hub for children that have been kicked out of school because of behavioural issues, or they've got autism, or on the autistic spectrum, and things like that. So we have like small classes. I teach exercise and fitness, obviously, and a little bit of maths, although I'm not great at it. And yeah, the kids love what I do as well. They're always asking, when's your next fight? Where can I watch it? And the next weekend I come in with my belt and sometimes a black eye, with my sunglasses on, and they love it. They love it. And that's good for me as well. The kids, to come back on a Monday and come back to reality, back to work with my belt, and the kids love it. Yeah,
that's so funny. Yes, I do the same supportive
thing. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And it kind of becomes a thing. Like, they're always asking me when my next fight is. Like, but I only had one last week. Chill out. Give me a break. But
give me a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, my work are very supportive. And again, obviously, I don't just go for the weekend. I have to take time off before as well. And my work have always been very supportive. And yeah, I'm very grateful.
Oh, that's brilliant. Speaking of next fights, have you got anything lined up? Have you got anything coming out?
No, it's killing me. I'm just waiting. I'm just constantly waiting. So yeah, I've not got any good news to share, I'm afraid, but hopefully soon.
Oh, is there still many people around? I suppose if you hold all the titles,
people to fight. There's plenty of people to fight, but obviously I'm contracted to one championship, so what they say goes.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course. You're not quite the same free agent where you can just go, over here.
I'll tell you what, Sue, I used to be, and they were the best days of my life. That's all I can say.
Yeah, sometimes having a little bit of onus, like your own free will is pretty good, isn't it?
Well, I was fighting everywhere and I loved it. We just I knew what my whole year was going to be like. I had fights planned in everywhere. But yeah, hopefully I'll get a fight.
I hope you get something soon. You should be.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so not fair. So, because I was going to say, well, where can they follow you? Have you got like any socials? I know quite a few other top female athletes around the world run off their own socials and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you got someone who can follow you?
I'm mainly on Instagram. That's it's there at PrettyKiller3. A little bit. I don't really post much on my Facebook kind of athlete page anymore. I don't really know why. Just feel like Instagram's like more current, but sometimes I find it difficult to post when I'm not in a fight camp. I'm like, because I feel like that's all people kind of want to know is about when I'm in a camp, and I'm not. So I'm sad at the moment, but yeah, I'll post a bit more, and hopefully we'll get a fight date soon.
Yeah, that would be super cool. What about your favorite? Like, do you have any favorite drills or favorite things? Like my trainer always played reggae music, and it's my favorite music to train to. I don't know whether it's the beat of it or something, but and then you have your favorite drills that just feel amazing, or
it's difficult. I love kicking. I feel like kicking is easier than punching, even though it's probably not. It's probably more effort. But yeah, I love kicking, and I really enjoy the pads. The pads is what I like the most. All the drills and stuff after that probably aid towards your technique and help. I don't really like, but I just love pads. I love hitting pads. It feels so good. So that's probably my main thing, is kicking and hitting pads, and kind of the freestyle of it.
Yeah. So your dad does a lot of that pad holding for you, right?
Yeah, so in a session, kind of we all hold pads for each other, whoever's in the fighters class. But yeah, when I've got a fight, my dad will be always my main pad holder, and yeah, it's just better when I'm with him as well, kind of flow.
No, you know each other's rhythms, right? Do you
Yeah.
reckon it's really important holding pads for other people? Like, I think it used to teach me quite a lot to read reactions and stuff just from holding.
Yeah, and I think also it's kind of a bit of giving back, isn't it? I know a lot of fighters as well sometimes just kind of have PTs or do what they need to do, but in our gym we're team assassins, so we'll all be there to help each other. And even if I'm in a camp, I might go on the pads with my dad, and then I'll help someone out after, because we have quite long sessions as well. So, and I imagine it's good for your shoulders and arms. It's hard work holding pads. Like
It is,
I
eh?
think,
It's like,
yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not hitting them. I've got a break. But it's hard. Like I was holding pads last night. I'm like, this is hard work. Oh my God.
I reckon it helps keep your hands up, eh? Hey,
Yeah.
we've got a couple of questions from the audience. Zlata, are they up there? How do I get hold of those questions? Someone else is saying hi. Here we
Oh, there you
go.
go. There's one.
Do you think it's very important to have a role model from a young age to help guide you and set you on the right path? Thanks, Faris.
I know him. Faz. Faz from my.
Oh, cheers.
What was the question?
Do you think it's good to have a role model from a young age
Yes.
to help you on the right path?
Yes, definitely. That role model can be in anything. I kind of think as my role model was my mum. Like she was there all the time, but I think there's plenty of role models and plenty of people about, especially with social media. You don't necessarily have to have one person, but it's always is good to have that one person to refer back to. Like, look, this person trains hard, like it can be done. This person has had this many fights, I'd like to do something similar. So yeah, I think it's definitely important to have a role model, but nowadays it doesn't have to be a specific person. It can be lots of people, and I think that's what is really important as well. Is it's important to learn, but you can take a little something off everyone and kind of improve your game with that. Then you're winning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sham said hello from Mauritius. He's the president of Mauritius. He's just had some female titles there too.
Oh
Hi,
my
Sham.
God! Hello, I would love to come to Mauritius.
Oh, there we go. Call out Mauritius. let
Mauritius, I
Iman
need
come.
you.
She could come over and take some training sessions for you.
Oh my God, don't. They say Mauritius is like the new Maldives.
It is a beautiful place.
Oh.
I have a word to him from you. Have you fought on Rebellion in Melbourne?
No, I haven't. It makes me so sad. I've been so lucky. I've been to Perth twice. And I've been to Melbourne once. When I fought in Perth, I can't remember what the show was called, but it was kind of a mix of boxing and Muay Thai the first time I went. And then the second time I went, that was on Muay Thai Grand Prix in Australia, and that was in Perth, and that was amazing. I got so looked after by Gav and Darius. And I'd always love to go back, and I know they're keen to have me back, but it's difficult nowadays. And then I fought on an all-female card in Melbourne. That was amazing. That was by Dennis and Lily. And this is the thing, when you go over to these places and you meet these people, and you don't know each other, you just kind of have the love of Muay Thai, like you share that, and they look after you in the way that they do, and you become friends for life. So I fought in Melbourne, and then 2 years later Dennis and Lily came to visit me when I was fighting in Perth, and supported me and actually did my corner as well. So
Wow.
I can't tell you like how many friends we've made out of Muay Thai, and met people along the way, and they've become friends for life. And then you can be in another country and someone from somewhere else will come and support you, and it's always nice to have a familiar face when you're not home. And I think that's what it was about as well. I've always gone away from home and fought in these places and always won. And it's so difficult to be away from home, not because you're homesick, but everything's different. Your bed's different, where you're sleeping's different, your kind of routine is different. And for me, I quite like to be in my routine. I'm not I'm a bit like that. And I always found it so difficult training in different places. Like, I just like my gym at home, thank you very much. But you know, I've had to come out of my comfort zone and do all these things. So yeah, it's been a crazy experience, but it's been amazing when you think about how much you've done.
Sham has just said, yes, you're hereby invited. So
Oh
we'll
my
hook you
God,
up with a
message me
Mauritius
after.
connection there.
Yeah, message me after. I need a good holiday.
Sweet. It'll be a working holiday, but it'll be a good holiday, right?
Exactly. Oh, there's your
And
scene.
Mohammed says hello. He must
Yeah,
be mourning where he is.
Yeah, he's from the UK. He's the head of the UKMF, which is Team GB and go to IFMA. So Yassine has done a lot for me regarding the IFMAs, and the little team that they have looked after me. Tommy Collins has been amazing. He went to the World Games with me and was my coach, and along with my father, and he kind of really supported my dad and made sure we were at the weigh-ins on time and did everything we were supposed to. Because that's another thing about, you know, professional fights. You just kind of blasé, and you just turn up where you're supposed to, and it just kind of rolls. But the IFMAs, there's a schedule, and you have to be on time. You know, for me, like the weigh-in was between, I don't know if it was like 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. I was like, oh, I'll just go down at 6:30 because that's early. 6:30, there was like a queue of 100 people, and I had to go to the back of the queue. I was like, what is this? Why are all these people out of bed? Like, I thought I was getting there early. So it was a crazy experience, and I had to wait behind like the kids to weigh in and stuff, which is mad.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. They're a great group of lads, those boys. Great group of lads from the
yes,
UK.
definitely. And they've done a lot for me the last couple of years when, you know, I was struggling to get fights. So to have this new opportunity, yeah, I'm very grateful.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Faris says, which fight do you remember the most?
That's hard. I think when I was young, when I was 17, I had a big fight at the O2, we call it, the O2 Arena, and it was kind of like I was young and I was good, but this was kind of the test, was I good enough? And I fought the UK number one at 17 for the Infusion World title, and I won. It was such a good fight as well, and she was a strong woman, Alexis Rufus, and that will always be kind of in my memories. I sold 110 tickets. Like, for me, where that was, it was like 2.5 hours away. So yeah, to sell 110 tickets for kind of everyone knew it was going to be a good fight, and it was kind of the fight where it all happened after that. You know, I won the Infusion World title. I went on to defend it 8 times all around the world and kind of got a bit more exposure. And that's the times when YouTube started coming about as well. Like, I had a lot of fights before anything was ever on the internet. And it was different. People started posting and social media come about. So yeah, I feel like I've been through it all.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I was like, oh, you've been through all the changes because you were there in the 90s,
Yeah.
and then also there now, which is so different. That's crazy.
It was kind of like word of mouth. Like, people knew I was good, and you know, I'd say I was good because I'd won all these, but no one had seen it unless they kind of lived near where I was. They knew I was good as a kid, but as a teenager, I was fighting adults from all around Europe that my dad would fly in, and he was kind of waiting for the moment to kind of release me to fight the adult women in the UK. And then just kind of broke it by storm. And again, it's just people that we know within the Muay Thai community kind of giving you the opportunity. So I remember Ryan Rudkin gave me the opportunity in down south in Cambridge, and then I became main event against Amy Purney, and then I stopped her in round 2, and then another promoter seen that and then got me on. That was Steve Semtex, and yeah, the little things that you always remember, and I think it's very important to always mention them people that helped you out and kind of shaped my career, and I've always been very grateful, and it's very personal. I don't think I deserve anything, and I try and earn it along the way. So people kind of giving you these opportunities, I'll always be grateful.
Yeah. Douglas says hello too. He's a Kiwi.
Hi Douglas. I'd like to go to New Zealand if anyone's tuning in as well.
Yeah, who have we got down here that you would fight? We're a little bit more bigger boned in New Zealand. I have to have a look around for you. Maybe Oceania, maybe Australia will have something else. Hey, just thinking about it, what would be your favorite thing about fighting? Like now that I'm retired, my favorite thing is smelling the liniment. Like it just makes me go all gooey. I'm like,
that makes me feel sick. No, that I think I associate that with fighting, and then the smell gives me a bit of like, it reminds me of nerves and what's about to happen. So no, that's not for me.
Not for you. Maybe later on, like years down the track when you retire, it might do.
Yeah, maybe I'll be sniffing it.
Yeah, like my favorite thing used to be like trying to figure out how to make them make the mistake. Like that game, like that was my favorite game to play. It didn't always work. Sometimes I just got smashed, but
I don't know. I think I just like the process of it all. Like you've been through it a million times, but every time is different. I always like to eat after. Obviously. But then I always think as well, how you imagined it, how your food would taste, like it never tastes as good. It's like a disappointment as well. But yeah, I like the whole process, and I just love fighting. I don't even know, I'm not a violent person or think I really want to hurt this person. I just really like to showcase my skills and kind of unlock different things in your mind. Like I remember my last fight, I started practicing this like reverse elbow on the pads with my brother, and I was like, oh, I quite like that. I wonder how easy that would be to kind of throw in a fight. And then I just said out of nowhere, like, oh, I bet you if I do it in my next fight, like you gotta give me a tenner, like a £10 note. And then for some reason in the fight, something happened and I did it. Like it just came natural, And I think, just by doing certain things on the pads and then putting that in your fight is a lot harder than you think it is. But I don't know where that come from. But he didn't give me a tenner, so
he didn't.
Time. No, he still hit her, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, he didn't give me a tenner because he's tight.
Oh man, we're gonna have to put that all out in the social media, just like slag him worldwide.
Ty Barlow owes me a tenner.
Yeah. Hey, have you got anyone you want to put a shout out to?
Because I could be here all day, but obviously shout out to my mum and my dad and my brother. I know my mum and dad will be watching. They love things like this. Shout out to my friends and my family and my boyfriend for always supporting me. And there's a lot of people that have kind of helped me along my journey. The UKMF and the IFMA just recently. That was a whole new opportunity for me, but also I remember the kind of people that helped me out along throughout my whole career. So yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you to all the Pretty Killer supporters. I know a lot of people have been with me for a long time since I was young, so yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So anyone that's putting anything out on socials, we want to hashtag the kicking glass, and we want to hashtag the IFMA_women. Follow us on Instagram. We're going to have a whole lot more a whole lot more guests as we develop ourselves through the years. And I just want to say a really, really big thank you to you, Iman. Like you are one of the biggest names in Muay Thai women at the moment, and have been for decades, because that's how good you are. So it's been a super, super, super honor to have you on here. One last piece of advice for our followers. Put you on the spot.
Train hard, train hard and just go for it. Anything can be achieved if you put your mind to it. And it sounds so like cliche, but it is true. If you want it enough, you will find a way to train hard and do it. And if you don't succeed, try again. No one these days, you don't come across many people who have not lost a fight. So if you do lose, you just got to make sure you learn from it and come back stronger.
That's it. That's brilliant. And that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much, Iman. Everyone, check out Pretty Killer on her Instagram. Follow her. Check out some of her old fights. If you want to see some awesome, awesome action, I fully recommend them. And we will catch you up very soon on who we will be having as our next guest. I've got a few names lined up. We just got to confirm them. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks from here. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. And kick some more glass. Hit those ceilings. Smash those goals. And have a good night.
Thanks for having me.